Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I'm going to bring you a second video. I decided to do a completion video, so therefore we see how crypto is all a part of the plan. And don't forget about Executive Order 13772. Enjoy the second video.
Picture.
So how quickly do you think the dark pool will be adopted?
We've got a pretty large pipeline of interest. We're going to be stepping things up slowly over the first sort of 3 to 4 months. But this is from a Bitcoin trading perspective. We're going to see a pretty significant flow in 2019. But really, the important thing to look at here is, in the next 10 years, we're going to see stocks, bonds, FX, real estate, all the assets that are currently traded on legacy platforms, we're going to see move over to the digital asset space. And so our larger goal is to be a central trading venue really for all-to-all trading of assets.
Oh, so it's not just a cryptocurrency.
This is not just a cryptocurrency.
This is a way of using blockchain to do a broader trade.
So when we talk about
absolutely
bond trading becoming automated.
Absolutely. And actually, one of the things here, we're not just bringing dark pools into blockchain and crypto. We're also bringing blockchain and crypto into the concept of a dark pool. So, there's been some controversy around dark pools in the equity space. That the dark aspect of not showing your trades to the world is one thing, but there's also been darkness around what are the rules of this thing, and are the HFTs in there waiting to pounce on regular clients. So we're bringing dark pools into the light, if you like, by using blockchain and crypto technology to create transparency in the way that you access liquidity, and creating transparency in the sort of the trade behavior, but still keeping the orders hidden.
I mean, we can imagine the kind of chaos that would ensue if we moved to an electronic money system and that system went offline for any significant period of time, days, weeks, or more. My name is Garrick Heilman. I'm a research fellow at the University of Cambridge, and my claim to fame is that I was one of the first academically trained economists to take an interest in Bitcoin and blockchain technology. So central banks, as our data shows, are actively testing blockchain technology for a variety of different use cases, everything from new central bank digital currencies, new payment systems, to kind of records management, having some kind of audit trail for certain functions, and so on. There's actually a long list of things the central banks are looking at blockchains to do. There's a number of advantages potentially to central banks by incorporating blockchains. Probably the most significant is the resiliency of the blockchain technology. The fact that Bitcoin has been operating for just about 9 years now and has suffered not a nanosecond of downtime is quite compelling. I mean, not very many large IT systems today can claim the kind of uptime that Bitcoin claims. And if you're a central bank providing critical infrastructure, payment systems, thinking about maybe moving away from physical cash to a completely electronic money-based system, having a technology that is resilient and will have zero downtime is actually really important. I mean, we can imagine the kind of chaos that would ensue if we moved to an electronic money system and that system went offline for any significant period of time, days, weeks, or more. You would likely see pandemonium in the streets if people can't make payments. So blockchain can be quite resilient. It could be also a way to create greater transparency into central banking, more credibility because of the rules that a blockchain-based system enforces. But there are a number of challenges too. There's a concern around the lack of privacy, interestingly, of blockchain technology. Bitcoin is famous for offering high levels of privacy, but actually blockchains leak data, leak information. It's possible to figure out who's doing what on a blockchain system because it's a public record.
The perception that digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, for example, are almost Dutch tulips for the 21st century. Don't they just need to evolve before the regulators step in here? Don't they need to naturally evolve and hit the mainstream before the regulators can take action?
Well, regulators are practical people, so if this is an investment proposition, then they will be regulated as collective investment schemes, or they will be regulated as mutual funds, they will be regulated like ETFs, I mean, depending on the exact way they are structured. If they move closer to payments, then they should be regulated as payments. So really it's function that matters here. But what's important for us central bankers is that the stability of the global system and the stability of any domestic financial system requires central bank money to be available at the backbone of the system. Not at the front end, but at the back end. Any backbone, RTGS systems, core payment systems have to be settled in central bank money.
So does that imply, sorry, I just want to clarify, does that imply that fiat currencies, whether it's the dollar, whether it's the euro or the yen, will still be part of an underlying backstop for digital currencies?
Exactly. It will be part of the backstop because that's what's needed for the stability of the system. It may have to evolve to be part of the backstop. So it may have to be tokenized. It may have to take different forms, but it will remain at the core of the system. I'm absolutely sure of that.
If you travel through China, you go into an office building, you walk up and the employees have the facial recognition. They don't have badges or anything of that sort. They can track their citizens everywhere without worrying about it. For China, it makes a lot of sense. It does cause the rest of the central banks, and I meet with central banks a lot. I just met with one yesterday, as a matter of fact. And it certainly, like Libra, got them thinking more about the retail side.
He knew he was in big trouble. I think he borrowed more than most other prudent real estate people. He had extended himself to the Trump shuttle, to a yacht, to a helicopter, and to a lot of things which weren't generating any cash flow, and he had to support his lifestyle. So he was in trouble.
Does anybody else want to bet $190,000 we're going to sell it?
When the economy and the real estate market plummeted in 1990, attorney Alan Pomerantz says Trump owed $4 billion to his debtors, including that $1 billion for which he was personally responsible.
Because he personally guaranteed so much debt, the leverage shifted dramatically over to the banks, because it was no longer an issue of a bank and a piece of real estate. It was a bank and Donald Trump's actual survival.
Trump owed money all over town to 72 banks in all. Pomerantz represented them as a group.
How close was he to going personally bankrupt?
Very.
Trump makes a point of saying he never went personally bankrupt, but there's a reason why the banks decided to keep Trump whole.
We made the decision that he would be worth more alive to us than dead. Dead meaning in bankruptcy. We don't want him to be in bankruptcy. We want him out in the world selling these assets for us.
So you wanted him alive because he was a salesman and could best sell his own properties.
That's correct. We kept him alive to help us.
Chase, they just announced earnings and they were incredible. Where are you? They were very substantial. Will you say thank you, Mr. President, at least? Huh? I made a lot of bankers look very good, but you're doing a great job.
You told us you had ordered your administration to cease and desist on payments to journalists to promote your agenda. You cited the need for ethical concerns and the need for a bright line between the press and the government. Your administration continues to make the use of video news releases, which are prepackaged news stories sent to television stations, fully aware that some or many of these stations will air them without any disclaimer that they are produced by the government. Comptroller General of the United States this week said that raises ethical questions. Does it raise ethical questions about the use of government money to produce stories about the government that wind up being aired with no disclosure that they were produced by the government?
There is a Justice Department opinion that says these pieces are within the law so long as they're based upon facts, not advocacy. And I expect our agencies to adhere to that ruling, to that Justice Department opinion. This has been a long-standing practice of the federal government to use these types of videos. The Agricultural Department, as I understand, has been using these videos for a long period of time. The Defense Department, other departments have been doing so. It's important that they be based upon the guidelines set out by the Justice Department. Now, I think it'd be helpful if local stations then disclose to their viewers, if that's, that this was based upon factual report, and they chose to use it. But evidently, in some cases, that's not the case. So anyway.
The administration is to guarantee that's happening by including that language in the prepackaged report.
Yeah, I don't, look, I mean, oh, you mean a disclosure? I'm George W. Bush, and I...
Well, some way to make sure it couldn't air without the disclosure that you believe is so vital.
Ken, I mean, there's a procedure that we're going to follow, and the local stations ought to, if there's a deep concern about that, ought to tell their viewers what they're watching. Yes.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it.
I'd say Libra was something of lit a bit of a fire. This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for, a couple decades. This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for, couple decades.
Specifically on cryptocurrencies, we are spending a lot of time on this on both an interagency basis and with the regulators. We're about to roll out some significant new requirements at FinCEN. We want to make sure that technology moves forward, but on the other hand, we want to make sure that cryptocurrencies aren't used for the equivalent of old Swiss secret number bank accounts. So we share your concerns, and you'll be seeing a lot of work coming out very quickly.